Hi, I'm Tim Ford. Welcome to Feed Central's Hay Matters podcast, where we unpack the very best of what's happening in Australia's fodder industry. From planting through to baling, testing and feeding, we cover the characters and the information that matters to everyone in the supply chain.
Welcome back to the Hay Matters podcast and our last for the season. It's been a huge year for the fodder industry, and today we're joined by the Managing Director of Feed Central and LocalAg, Tim Ford, to unpack the season and talk about what we've learnt over this 12 months and what we're looking forward to in 2026. Welcome, Tim.
Oh, g'day, Steve. Great to be here. Great to be interviewed by you. You're a budding podcaster now, so it's very exciting. And just like to say thank you and wishing all our clients a happy and safe festive season. And thanks for a great year.
Thanks, Tim. So let's start with the business overall. We've had a hell of a lot go on this year. It's been a very busy time with the release of LocalAg and Feed Central, and just going through our normal process with the quality assurance side of things. But LocalAg has certainly increased the opportunities for us within the actual quality assurance side. Can you expand on that a little bit more?
Yeah, it has been a big year, Steve, and I think the vision for Feed Central and LocalAg is that we would separate the quality assurance to be a more independent from the marketplace. And so the vision of creating a quality assurance business and a marketplace or a place for commerce and two separate businesses has certainly materialised this year. I think that we've got quite a bit of work to do to help clients understand it. Obviously, not every client is engaged and listening to everything we put out and reading everything we put out, which is perfectly to be expected. And we've got a lot of work to bring clients on that journey with us as to why we've done it and where it's heading. But we've certainly put a line in the sand this year and really separated a quality assurance business for the fodder industry and a hay marketplace, commercial centre / marketplace, with the trading team, firmly centred behind personal service and putting the marketplace and personal service all together. So it's certainly been a line in the sand type of year, Steve, for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're only early into the new season, hey, but and I've been out on the road, as you know, from right from the start of it, and just seeing a real sort of, there's been some really good hay come in early, but potentially we could be looking at some downgraded stuff further south. What are your thoughts on how the season's going?
Oh, look, there's no doubt for some producers, especially the long-term die-hard hay producers in the south who operate at considerable scale and have a very big impact on the industry. There is no doubt that those guys have had a tough year. They had a very dry start and they had an okay average or slightly below average winter. And now they've had a very tough finish. They had at the beginning of spring, they had very dry. And then right when they had the hay on the ground, they've had weather. So look, it's been a tough year for many producers in the hay industry, and that's really unfortunate. The good news is that there's central New South Wales, northern New South Wales, southern Queensland's just had a phenomenal run in both quality and volume. And so seeing that product, you've been inspecting a lot of hay through those regions. And then looking on the LocalAg marketplace and seeing the visual standard of that hay and seeing the visual feed test of that hay, it's very, very rewarding through that northern New South Wales, central New South Wales, southern Queensland area, and seeing the quality of the hay and the quality of the listings on the LocalAg marketplace is just very rewarding. It's just unfortunate we're not going to see that trend. That's clear we are not going to see that trend as the Victorian and South Australian hay gets baled. We're not going to see that trend as significantly. There's certainly been some hay made has beaten the rain, but there's quite a bit of hay through South Australia and Victoria that hasn't beaten the rain, which, considering how dry a year it's been, it's almost ironic that they've had weather damage in the windrow.
Yeah, it was surprising for me, really, going on that southern New South Wales area on that last trip into seeing the lack of feed out in the pastures in those regions, yet the crops had actually made the most of what moisture they did have, and the amount of actual product being made in windrows and put in bales the yields were actually extremely good, and therefore the feed tests were good too. So it really does come back to the importance of not only getting that visual inspection, but that feed test side of it also.
Yeah. And look, pat on the back to the croppers. I mean, the advancements that have been made in the last 20 years, 10 years, and even in the last 5 years, the advancements that have been made in growing a crop on very limited moisture is, I think we're still seeing those benefits. Like, I mean, just anecdotally this year, yields per millimetre of rain, there must be something substantial happening on, because there has not been a lot of rain, and the crops are okay. Yet, the pasture growth is quite limited.
Yeah. So the hay game, as we know, is very cyclical sort of thing. It's your big years and your low yields and everything like that in between. And what I see from the most professional growers and the most successful growers out there is that adaptability of those growers to jump backwards and forwards. They might not make hay every year, but to make that decision to then be able to go across to hay, that they have the sheds and, be able to make quality hay in a shed and fill those sheds at those times where the grain industry won't support them, is a great opportunity for them. And those fellas do tend to be the most successful, I find.
Yeah, you do see. I mean, it's an incredible pleasure to get onto those farms, isn't it? I mean, you do it a lot more often than I do, but to get onto those farms and to see the investment they've got in the hay infrastructure and the investment they have in the machinery, and a lot of them have got equal investment in the grain infrastructure and the grain machinery, and to be able to see them bounce backwards and forwards between hay as the seasons and the market allows them to or forces them to. They certainly seem to do very well most years, and it gives them incredible flexibility. It's obviously an incredible investment, but it's also incredible opportunity to be able to bounce between hay and grain, and to take advantage with sheds and so forth, to be able to take advantage of the hay market as it changes throughout the year.
Yeah, so the hay side of things can be quite a tough sort of industry. What do you think helps to keep that side of the business in those businesses on farms and that going?
I think for a lot of people, you nailed it there before. It's diversity. They have a lot of different enterprises, whether it be hay, grain, pulses, grain storage, hay storage. Some of them are increasingly got a transport business associated with it. So a lot of those guys, there's not many that are 100% in hay, is there? Like, a lot of them have got diversity behind their business, particularly when they're at scale. They might have 10, 15,000 acres of hay. Well, they've probably got 10 or 15,000 acres of grain as well, or they might have 2,000 acres of hay, and they've probably got 5,000 acres of grain. So particularly when they're at scale, they've got diversity, and they're also running family enterprises where they're managing it closely and working every efficiency they possibly can to, there's opportunity in volatile markets, and they sort of managing it very carefully and right across the data and right across the detail, and they're setting themselves up to take advantage of the volatility in the market as it takes place.
Yeah, going back to my time farming and that, you like to spread your risk over a number of different industries so that you weren't all the eggs in one basket, so to speak. And I love that where the hay industry or the hay opportunity down south in that Victoria area, where they don't really have an opportunity of a summer crop that we do up here, the hay side of things can give them that diversity to spread their risk and look at other opportunities like weed control, weather patterns, and all that type of thing. So, yeah.
Spread their risk, spread their weed risk, spread their labour. It gives them, if they do have employees, then it gives them the opportunity to utilise that labour for a longer period of time. And then you see them set themselves up with storage facilities and so forth, and they're managing the risk and taking advantage. The market in January can be a completely different market to what it is in March or June, July. So, the market in November can just be completely different to a market at another time of the year. So you're seeing them, diversify their business in many ways, even within hay and storage and different bale sizes and all of that. And we're seeing that play out.
Yeah, I love to drive onto a place and see those new sheds going up. That's for sure. That just, just makes it so much, gives them so many other opportunities. And also for those fellas that the grain growers to fully understand the marketing options that they have with their hay. We still talk about the 300, animals eating 365 days of the year, but we know from being within this business that the market's not there every day. It can be pretty tough covering those periods in between. And
that can be a lot of our clients, as you know, a lot of our clients are grain growers first and foremost. And so when they enter the hay space, they expect the hay market works as the grain market works. And, the grain market works with a lot of liquidity and daily liquidity, and that you can sell a parcel of grain on any day of the year for a particular price. And you'll get multiple, there's every chance you'll get multiple bids. But in the hay game, there's days of the year when it's almost impossible to get a bid. And no matter what your price is, it can be very difficult. And subsequently, for a grain grower coming into hay, there can be a lot of misunderstanding in how the market works. And I think there's a big room for education and upskilling in that space.
Yeah, and it's having those relationships also, and having the visual and the feed test information available, so that the buyers are happy with what they're going to be supplied, and the grower knows exactly how his product sits within the actual quality assurance side of things.
Well, you go back to that lot yesterday that we were talking about, Steve. It was that lot of vetch, and you inspected it. Feed test came in, and we had it even in today's market, which is fairly quiet. We had it sold before it went live on the website, and at a record price. For this time of year, there was a line of vetch. It came in with a visual score of, it was made at an FCAA, and it sold ex-farm at $430 a tonne, ex-farm Riverina, and sold into a dairy farm above Newcastle, and so the freight component was gigantic. But that buyer was a long-term customer of ours, knew that it was 23% protein and 10.8 megajoules of energy, knew that the sampling had been taken the same way, knew how the visual grading system worked, knew that when that hay drove down his driveway, it was going to look fantastic on the back of the truck, and the cows were going to eat it, and they were going to perform on it. I mean, that's how you make money out of hay. The grower is making money out of that hay at $430 a tonne, and the buyer is making money, and the buyer paid really big money for that hay, but he's on a delivered basis. But the buyer is going to make money out of that hay because it's going to put milk, and that's what it's all about, and that's what the system does. The Feed Central's quality assurance system ensures that buyers know what they're getting, ensure the feed test is through the same lab with no silly business about what the calibrations are. All the sampling has been taken using the same methodology for sampling the hay bales, knowing that the results are reliable, and that's how you make money out of hay.
Yeah, and that flows into, the vision that you have for Feed Central is to, for the domestic fodder industry, is to satisfy the end user's demand 100% of the time. What does this look like in the actual practice of it? How do you...
It looks like buyers being happy. It looks like repeat orders. It looks like a really good price for hay. It looks like both parties making money out of hay. It looks like that deal that I was talking about that we did this week, where you're buying vetch out of the Riverina at a really high price and sending it to a dairy farmer on the north coast, and both parties being happy. It looks like no complaints. I mean, I reckon if we did a survey of the industry, I would say there'd be 90%. What do you reckon, Steve? 90% of people have had a bad hay experience, on both the buyer and seller, on both the buyer and seller side. So if we can make a pleasant hay experience, if we can ensure that every load of hay, or nearly every load of hay, drives down that driveway and the buyers are happy with it, and they're prepared to buy again, because unfortunately our industry seems to be an industry where people are increasingly only buying our product when they absolutely have to, and buying it in an inflated, crisis-driven market, being normally drought and bushfires and so forth. And if we can ensure that, and we're not developing, the industry as a whole is not developing long-term repeat buyers. We are seeing our buyers do whatever they can to avoid buying hay. and that is simply because they have a bad experience. So if Feed Central can define the quality, put parameters in place, and ensure our customers are happy with the product they receive, they will buy more often and they'll be prepared to buy at a higher price. And that brings a lot of security to growers. And we see that. We see that with this line of vetch we were talking about out of the Riverina this week.
With Feed Central's Local Ag, you can connect with farmers and suppliers across Australia, increasing your market and ensuring you get the best deals wherever you are. List your machinery, livestock, feed and more for free. And take advantage of Local Ag's safe and secure payment system, CheckVault, to ensure all of your transactions are protected. Feed Central's Local Ag is providing Australian farmers with trusted connections and transparent trading.
So, Tim, you've always said that the industry is about people as much as product. How do the relationships and the trust fit alongside all this new technology?
I think the relationship's always going to be key, Steve. And in our system now, where we do allow the buyer and seller to chat, we allow the buyer, we're giving the buyer a lot more information about the seller, and developing that trust. The Feed Central team is also there, ready to assist. And ready to put the long-term contracts and so forth through and have the guided. So I think the current system brings the technology and the people together really superbly. The feedback has been very good. We've got people here monitoring the system. We've got people here to assist with the complex contracts, and then there's opening up opportunities across the marketplace to so that buyers know exactly what they're buying if that's important to them, which I would argue, definitely should be.
So looking forward for the next 12 months, where do you see us going and where do you see the season heading?
Look, I'll start with the season stuff first, if that's all right. We've been in this game for nearly 25 years. I think this has probably been one of the most volatile years in that 25. At the beginning of the year, we saw a very quiet market, and it stayed quiet longer than expected. And then the market boomed with the dry in southern Victoria, and that spread through the majority of Victoria, and it spread well into the Riverina. So we've now seen 3 back-to-back seasons where the hay market has been very active in southern Victoria. And we've seen our system expand and grow into those areas, which has been fantastic. And it's really good to be able to help those people with really good quality information and really good quality data and so forth during those really tough times. But it's been a really volatile season. So, and then by middle of July, the market had basically died, right? So the market seems to be booming and busting more than ever, which is... It's unfortunate, but that's where it is. And it seems to be booming and busting around the media. The media is taking a much stronger interest. And for example, the media in winter was just constant talk about the shortage of hay. And now the media is telling how much hay's being made. And I don't think there's nearly as much hay being made as what the media is telling us there is. So then the market's exaggerating based on what's on the radio, what's in the podcast, what's in the newspapers and so forth. So we're seeing this huge exaggeration of the market at the moment. It's been going for a few years now where at certain times the market is just deathly quiet. And then at other times the market is just out of control booming. And so we'd hope to see that settle out in more educated and more sophisticated buying. That'd be great to see. Less panic buy. Like it's people tell me that livestock production is viable in this country at the moment. There's obviously a cost price squeeze on all production, but livestock, lamb prices, wool prices, meat prices, beef prices, everything's is going in the right direction. So the minute it gets dry, the hay is going to be needed. And I can see, going forward in 2026, I can see another year where there's record prices for hay. And there is no reason why we will not break records again in 2026. There will be a dry spell somewhere at some time. It's almost guaranteed in this country, and buyers aren't preparing for it. And subsequently, when the market spikes, she's going to spike, and she's going to spike big time. And that's a really positive thing for the industry. I'd love to see the boom bust cycle flatten out a bit. It does seem a bit extreme these days. But, those growers that are storing the hay and made a huge investment in storage and made a huge investment in holding the hay and looking after it and keeping and making sure the quality is right and so forth, they'll do really well. So that's really exciting for 2026. As far as where the company fits, we're really looking forward to a year of consolidation. We're looking forward to a year of ensuring our customers know how our system operates, ensuring the customer knows that Feed Central is a quality assurance business and that LocalAg is a marketplace. So just ensuring those key messages are out there and really knuckling in and adding value to the clients. We've done huge amounts of innovation in the last 12 months, and 2026 is all about communicating that to our clients and getting all of that to work, and moving the industry strongly towards sellers, and particularly sellers, being recognised and being rewarded for a really high quality product, and ensuring that customers receive what they need to receive 100% of the time. If we can make inroads into that big, gigantic mission, then we've made success in 2026.
And finally, Tim, how would you like to wrap up today with what your last message is for the customers and the growers?
I think it's been a really challenging year. It's probably the most cyclical cycle that would have a huge challenge to the industry. It would be great to have a solution for that, but it's been a huge reality of our industry this year, and understand that would have a huge impact and a huge challenge on the farms that we deal with. But just a huge amount of appreciation to the clients. We've got many clients that would have done business with us this year for the 20th straight year, and we've had great relationships for a long period of time with many clients. That's a really privileged and humble position to be in. So a huge thank you to those clients, whether they're a new client or an old client, and greatly appreciate that.
We'll finish up there, and thanks to Tim Ford for joining me today on Hay Matters. And we'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. We might be a little bit early at this stage, but probably won't get the opportunity again. So thank you. This is our last one for the year. Have a Merry Christmas, and stay connected and look after yourselves out there during these tight periods.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you, everyone.